What's up, Mopar fam? Today on this episode, we'll be changing the upper control arm on a Chrysler 300C 5.7 liter Hemi with ya Mopar bro at FreddyZ21. What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel where we do Mopar things and Mopar stuff with your Mopar bro. Okay, so today we're replacing the upper control arm on a Chrysler 300. This process will be the same for LX platforms, Dodge Chargers, Magnums, and Challengers between the years of 2005 and 2010. It is so easy to do. If we can do it, you can too. Alright guys, the tools of the trade today are a torch kit, 10mm, 13mm, and 18mm sockets, and combination box wrenches, also all at various lengths. Hammer and a pickle fork, if you have one, it definitely helps. A ratchet, flathead, and phillips screwdriver, crowbar, and 6mm Allen key, you might need it. Okay, so first, here's the front upper control arm for both the driver's side and passenger side. It takes the same procedure for both upper control arms, so if you know how to do one side, you'll know how to do the other. Today, we'll be showing you how we did the driver's side front upper control arm. Alright, let's get it. First thing to do is go ahead and jack the car up. Today we have a hoist, but if you don't have one, just jack that baby up with a floor jack. Next, let's go ahead and remove the wheel. Now let's get our torch and heat the 18mm upper control arm nut that holds the steering knuckle. Heat it up for about 5 minutes or so. After that, let's get our 18mm wrench and unscrew the 18mm nut. If it doesn't budge, try leveraging with a second wrench or heating that nut up a bit more. Once loose, keep the nut on for more surface area to hit with the hammer. If you find the spindle spinning, you may need to use a 6mm Allen key to keep it from spinning. Next, let's get our hammer and pickle fork and use them to separate the upper control arm from the steering knuckle. Once loose, remove the 18mm nut and move the steering knuckle away from the upper control arm. Now with the upper control arm free, let's go ahead and get back up top into the engine bay to access the nuts holding the upper control arm bolts. For the driver's side, we will need to move the coolant reservoir and air intake to access one 18mm nut, and then we will need to remove the plastic cover above the brake fluid reservoir and master cylinder to access the other 18mm nut using 18mm combination box wrenches. For the passenger side upper control arm 18mm nuts, one is easily accessible behind the fuse box. For the other nut, we will need to remove the plastic cover over the cabin air filter box to access that 18mm nut. Alright guys, so we're definitely dealing with really tight spaces here, so we'll only be able to quarter turn the nuts near the firewall. The patience will definitely be needed. You'll eventually get the 18mm nuts off with the 18mm box combination wrenches. After that, let's pop the strut cover off and remove the three 13mm retaining nuts holding the strut. We will need it loose to maneuver the strut away from the upper control arm bolts to get them out. We will use a crowbar to help move the strut around. With the upper control arm nuts off and the strut loose, let's go ahead and slide the upper control arm bolts out. Once these bolts are out, simply remove the upper control arm. Damn, that baby really needed to be replaced bad. Next, let's get our new upper control arm and slide it in to line up with the bolt holes. Once they are aligned, let's go ahead and slide the bolts in. Now with the upper control arm in place, let's go ahead and maneuver the strut back in place through the 3 stud holes. After the strut is back in place, let's attach the upper control arm to the steering knuckle and throw on our 18mm nut and tighten her up. Next, let's get back on top into the engine bay and install our 2 18mm nuts on our upper control arm bolts and our 3 13mm nuts on our strut studs and put back the plastic cover. Once that is done, go ahead and start buttoning everything back up. Let's put back our coolant reservoir, plastic cover over the master cylinder and install our air intake box. For the driver's side, simply put back the plastic cover that's over the cabin air filter. After that, install the wheel, clean up, and take her for a spin. Alright everyone, so this took me and Greg about 20 minutes to replace the driver's side upper control arm. We highly recommend using a torch kit to heat up the stubborn bolts and nuts. You can also find the instructions in the description as well, and a link to our other videos in the comments. Thanks for watching everyone. If this helped you out, please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. I would really appreciate it. Take care, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.